Right. Well, welcome back to the channel. Dan Talks United. We've got to do this win, lose, or draw. And this feels like a loss, even though it's 1-1. But it's against the shittest team ever. Wolves. Yes, it's not the end of the season yet. But up to this point, they had 2 points. 2 fucking points. That's all Wolves had. They've been getting battered by every single team. We beat them at their place 4-1. And like I've said before, yeah, the result or the scoreline probably flattered our performance at their place, but we still beat them 4-1. We play them again at home today, tonight, and it's fucking 1-1. How the fuck has that game ended 1-1? How the hell are we drawing to the worst team in Premier League history? Unless something changes drastically for Wolves, this is going to be the worst Premier League team in the history of this. If as the Premier League, it is fucking embarrassing. And in a lot of occasions, drawing a game of football might not be a big deal, especially if you think, right, we were lucky there, we rescued a point, for example, or if a team comes out in the second half and plays really well and deserves it. But we're playing against fucking Wolves. Absolutely fucking shocking, that game. So, as we're saying, the game's ended 1-1 with Wolves. This is a game that, even when you're not overly confident about Manchester United, you're thinking, we're going to win this game. You look at the results around the grounds, other teams playing, you see that Chelsea have dropped points again. You think you can capitalise on this now and sort of leapfrog Chelsea and draw level with Liverpool. That would put us sort of joint fourth. And when it counts, this team just does what this team does, just lets you down. And there's got to be serious, serious questions around Amorim, I'm afraid. Now, it's like he has talked about changing formation. He said that he had to change formation because he hasn't got the players. Manchester United won't have the money to buy the players for his system. Yes, we haven't particularly won games convincingly or anything like that with the new formation or the adapted formation. But to change formation and finally stop being fucking stubborn and show some promise of playing decent football, where you're thinking, okay, you start to play teams that you should be beating, we should beat them well because we're using a normal formation for Manchester United, a normal formation for these fucking players. And you go backwards and start with a 3-4-3. Can anybody explain to me what the fuck that was about? Makes no fucking sense to go backwards like that when you've taken a step forward, and like you say, you've looking like you're not going to be stubborn anymore, and you go back to 3-4-3, and you haven't got the players there. In fact, we've got less players that can play your traditional system than we had a game or two ago, because you've got no Mount that can play your system because he's injured, for example. So what the fuck are we doing here? So again, and as comments in the chat there, no words. I'm struggling to put words together for this shit show that we've witnessed here. I feel sorry for the fans that have travelled to Old Trafford tonight because, again, you can never take anything for granted, and you've also got to respect any team that's in front of you, even if it's not a fellow Premier League team, because Premier League teams have lost to teams in lower leagues and in different leagues where their leagues aren't as good as ours. But in this scenario, when you've got a team that are low in confidence because they've got 2 points all season, 2 fucking points all season, that's all they've got. Now they've got 3 points, and we've gifted them a point. So when you're playing against a team in that scenario, then you can't be, you've got to be forgiven to thinking that you're going to beat the team in front of you. Now, I never said we were going to batter them because I think my score prediction was 2-1. And that's purely because we can't keep a clean sheet. And that's embarrassing in itself. And we should be able to keep a clean sheet against Wolves. Now, appreciate that Wolves have done, shown a good showing against like Liverpool, for example, and Arsenal. But for me, you're at home, you're at Old Trafford, you've beat this team already, you've shown 4-1 it was, and you know what you're facing because we've only just played them like it feels like the other day. And just to get on to the players, because can't just put it on Amorim. Yes, he's set them up wrong for me, and I think he's set them up to fail. But the players can work shit out for themselves, and this is what I've been trying to say in other videos, that it can't all just be hand holding all the time and your coach having to shout instructions from the sidelines all the time. You've got to work shit out for yourself. You're fucking professional football players. You're paid loads of money per week. You and I would love to be in that position where you could play football for your, well, even if you don't support Manchester United, which I'm saying a few of these players don't, it doesn't fucking matter. You all want to play professional football. You've all worked hard to get to this fucking stage, and then you're getting paid handsomely for it. And this is the fucking showing that you put out there. There's absolutely no excuse, and I don't give a fuck what formation that Amorim puts you in, to be fair. Yes, it sounds contradictory because there is a part of it where Amorim set you up to fail, but you can work fucking shit out, because at the end of the day, you're meant to be, well, I wouldn't say world class, but you're meant to be top class players that are paid, like I say, a lot of money, and way more money than the Wolves team. So I have no idea. I mean, we'll come on to the players, but I have no fucking idea what some of these players are doing. Can't string a pass together. Can't fucking shoot. Can't fucking beat a man. I mean, I'll come on to Cunha, but he's just fucking running into people. You weren't doing this for Wolves, the very same team that you're playing against today. And it's like you've fucking lost your mind. You've lost how to play football. You're like fucking Bambi on ice. Your fucking knees are all over the fucking shop. You're on the floor most of the time. You was on the floor more than you was fucking upright. Someone's got to fucking explain that to me, because I can't get my head around that. It's fucking horrendous. So to try and get some form of... just 1 second, guys. Before my battery on the laptop dies like the fucking team. Let's try and get some sort of fucking order here together, because obviously I've got to do these things, got to do these videos, as I've said earlier, win, lose or draw. But it's very fucking difficult when you've just seen that shit that I've just watched. So, first half anyway, and we'll come on to, I haven't seen the post-match from Amorim, so he can explain Xerxes going off. Don't know if it made a fucking difference anyway. But anyway, first half, it was heaven. So pressed quite high, nicks the ball off one of the Wolves players and sort of drives towards the box. There's a little bit of pissing about and a bit of a ricochet, and then Xerxes does a nice turn on the edge of the area and just takes a swipe shot. Not sure it was going to go in, but it's sort of taken a bit of a wicked deflection off a Wolves player and goes into the back of the net. And you're thinking, right, the nerves, and the team needs to settle down now, because I could sense a bit of nervousness in the team early doors. I felt overall that first half was poor. And as I was saying earlier, the passing was poor. The shooting was poor. There was no chance creation really for me. You've got a 6-foot-odd striker who is there. What's he doing? Because there's no crosses coming in. And I think it took, what was it? Way into the 30th minute before Dorgu dug out a decent cross for him. And then it was just a tame header. And it's just been piss poor from Sesko anyway through the whole game. But anyway, we're on the first half. So then you just get the equaliser from Wolves where right at the death, where there's a corner, the ball's played in, it loops off Xerxes, and then, to be fair, however you pronounce his name, Kracek or Kryche, um, sort of scores a looped header across Le Mans. And I've been a critic of Le Mans, and we'll come on to Le Mans' performance, but I don't feel that he could have saved that. And I think it just needed to be defended better. And I just don't know how we got ourselves into that situation. It just feels like even when it's more difficult to be poor or more difficult to concede, we still do it anyway. Fucking strange. So, um, I just think, like I say, overall, it was just really lethargic, really slow in the build up. I could see that Martinez from the back was trying to get things going, but it's just sort of side to side passing, which you don't mind if the you don't mind them keeping possession a little bit, but you want to see some progression of the ball. And when you're at home, like I was saying, and when you're playing against a team like Wolves, I someone explain it to me. I mean, put your comments in. Someone please explain to me how we get ourselves into this situation. And the ball just needs to be progressed down the wings. We've got the players, we've got the confidence when we've scored that goal, and it's still a very slow build up. And I think we've brought on the issues ourselves, and it's worked out that Wolves have got an equaliser because we just haven't capitalised. And as we keep saying in a lot of videos, and you probably say it yourselves when you're watching the TV, it always feels like we need a second goal. And you can get the first, and that's fine to get the first goal because obviously we want the first goal if you can get it. But it always feels like you need another goal on top of that because you're never in control. We're never in control of a game. I think the only game this season where I felt that there's been some form of control was against Sunderland. But since then, or before then, and after then, we never feel like we're in control of any game. And it doesn't even feel like we're in control of the game for any period of a game. And that's a big, big, big issue for me. And obviously, going forward, we're not going to play in the Premier League anyway. We're not going to play a team worse than Wolves. So, and it does make you sick when you beat Newcastle. Now, again, we didn't beat them well, but we held out. We beat Newcastle. They're a much better team than Wolves. Yes, they've got an up and down season like ourselves, an up and down form, but they're a much better team than Wolves. And we beat them 1-0. And you think, right, let's capitalise on this. Let's push on from this. And then you come up against Wolves, again, the worst side ever, and you draw. It's like, I know football's not played on paper, but it makes no sense to me. But again, if anybody can explain it to me, please do in the chat because it's very difficult to see any sort of positives from this game if we can find any. So, again, as I was saying before, the setup in that back three again didn't make any sense. I was expecting that we were going to have a back four and put Dorgu where we played him last. You've got Amorim sort of waxing lyrical about Dorgu playing where he played, and like it was this sort of magical potion that he's found, and then you don't put in there again. I mean, please explain, because I don't understand it. So if he's said anything in the post match, then fair enough, but I'd like to hear it. So, obviously, before then as well, there was an early chance when Shaw sent a corner in, and again, Sesko gets his head on it. And it shows a bit of hang time, some of that stuff that you kind of got excited about when he was first coming into Manchester United and when we're going to first sign him. But hits the post. So doesn't work the keeper, doesn't get it on target, hits the post, and you just think, really? Now, obviously, that's his first chance. You can sort of forgive him for that. But for me, you've had a few chances since and still nothing. Still the same outcome. Still the same sort of, yes, still holding the ball up okay, but offering very little else. So going into the second half, and then I'll have a quick look at the stats, a quick run through of the stats on FootMob. that's the mystery as well for anybody that's watching. We've got a few people coming in now into the watching now live. If there's anybody that's watching that can answer and explain why Xerxes went off at half time. Now, I'm not saying it's a massive deal because I'm not so sure that he was going to make too much of a difference because I'm not saying he played particularly well. He scored the goal, so you can't take that away from him. But he's come off at half time. Not sure if it was an injury or tactical. But then you've got one of Darren Fletcher's sons coming on. And don't want to bash a youngster, but I'm sorry, but he was shit. Fletcher offered nothing. And I think he was honest the other day when he talked about coming on for the first time and how hard it is and playing against men and the strength you need and the speed you need and the thought process and the speed of mind and all that sort of stuff. And I get all that, but you've got to wake up, you've got to grow up, you've got to man up very quickly if you want to play in this league and succeed. And there's been plenty of youth players, and then again, people can argue and say these youth players, where are they now? But there's been plenty of youth players that have come onto the pitch and taken the chance and taken the opportunity, and they've put in a good showing or they've scored a goal or whatever it may be and made a name for themselves. I just think it's looking pretty poor. Now, obviously, I've probably been one of the people that have also kind of got on the back of Amorim for not trying to play some of these youth players, but I'm sorry, 2 youth players came on today and they were both poor. And something's not right in that youth development for me. And there's been a lot of smoke blown up the asses of some of these coaches and scouts and what have you for the youth development, and I don't see it. And the only thing we're holding on to is JJ Gabriel, who looks a player, don't get me wrong. But will we keep hold of him? Will he want to stay in this shithole? I'm not sure he will. There's going to be a lot of teams out there that's going to want him. I'm sure there's the Bayern Munichs and the Real Madrids and stuff like that. And if he's any good, they're going to be after him. And he can't sign a professional contract yet. He's too young. So the likelihood is all this fucking running around him and trying to make him feel special and probably begging his parents for him to stay will mean nothing when he gets to an age where he can sign a contract and he ends up pissing off somewhere else. But anyway, I digress. So back to the second half then. Like I say, Xerxes gets subbed off half time. Fletcher comes on. Again, there's been, I think it was in the 52-minute sort of area, Casemiro puts in quite a good ball, a bit of a cross into Sesko. You could say it needed a bit more sort of power on the cross, but again, Sesko's got to use his neck muscles there, and it's just a tame header that I'm sure the keeper just catches it, and you just think, come on, I know you're not getting many chances. And I think this is what Arsenal fans will probably talk about with Gyökeres, because we're saying the same things where we're saying he'll come good, give him chances, cross the ball in, put through balls in, and he'll score the goals. And you do it, and then he doesn't score. So it's like, okay, on one hand, you're thinking we're not giving you enough chances, and then on the other hand, when you do get a chance, you fluff your lines. And I appreciate you need to warm up. I appreciate a lot of strikers will need a few chances. Even Haaland will need a few chances at times. But I think you still need to make better of the chances that are coming into you. And I think also what happens is players, although they shouldn't do, players will then start to lose confidence in putting the ball in if you're not getting on the end of it or you're not making a better effort of things that are coming into the box. But for me, there needs to be some repetition. And I've said this about the way we play, the patterns of play. There needs to be repetition in your play. So if you're Dorgu, let's say, and you're going down the wing, I'm not expecting you to be Giggs because nobody's playing like that these days, but whip a ball in. And I can, maybe 3 crosses that I can remember that Dog was put into the box. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like, for me, you've got to keep at it, and it needs to happen from both sides. And I think that's what our problem is as well, is that we're hamstrung on one of the sides each time we play. It doesn't matter who plays, when we're fully strengthened, and especially when Mbuma and Ahmad are playing, because obviously they're playing down the same side, down the right hand side. If any crosses come in, it's coming from that side. Any creativity is coming from that side. Apart from when obviously Bruno plays something through from deep. So you're not. For me, you want to flood that box with crosses, but you also want to have someone's almost like a shadow of Sesko, so they're sort of flanking to the back post or to the near post where he goes the opposite way, and you sort of occupy the defenders. And I think too many times, if I want to try and give Sesko a little bit of leeway, is that he's battling on his own, and he hasn't got that person just to take a player away. And it's okay if he can take a player away and another person can score, but something has to happen. Something needs to be different. What are we actually doing in training? Can anybody tell me what are we doing in training? And we're doing a lot of warm-up training, as I would call it, at the start of games where they're in formation, they're doing certain corners and crosses and stuff like that. This needs to get better. And I said it before about the goalkeeper coach, and maybe I shouldn't sort of home in on his stature or anything, but you've got to question the staff here, the coaches here, because things are quite poor when it comes to and again with Sesko, he's a young striker, relatively young striker, who's there to improve, wants to improve himself. We need now obviously I'm not saying that we have to just get some striker that used to play for Manchester United or anything, but we need a striker coach. I mean, I didn't think we did, but we need a striker coach to show these guys where to run, how to receive the ball, how to be more effective in the box, because nothing's happening at the minute and it's really, really poor. So then we go on to sort of later in the game, and they had to. Well, in fact, it was quite funny with Wolves. Sort of kind of slightly missed it where there was a pass back from their defender, and it was actually going goal bound, and somehow Sarr has clawed it out. And at first, when you first saw it, you thought that's definitely crossed the line. But obviously, it just showed about 100 replays, and it was all just to rub it in the faces of Manchester United fans to show that he's clawed it off the line, and it hasn't quite gone over the line. So we didn't need to see them in the replays. But anyway, the replay shows that he just got back to it. Yes, it would have been heartbreaking for Wolves, and maybe we didn't deserve that, but it just shows how this game was going to go anyway when that happened. And then, like I say, towards the end, you could see there that Wolves had an attack, a decent through ball. I'm not sure of the player's name who took the strike, and Le Mans does a smart save, gets down low, saves it. Sort of drops just in front of him, and then there's another player sort of running in. Don't know if it was Mascara or, in fact, it might have been the forward player. And he's just about to sort of tap it in because I can't see that he was going to miss from there, and he sort of claws it away. I think it was 2 times he sort of clawed it away, and it actually came off their player last. So not only did he save it from going in, it sort of goes for a goal kick as well. So really good performance there. And again, as I said earlier, I've been a critic of Le Mans, but he performed well today. Did a smart save with his feet as well. I think that was the first half. That was a bit De Gea-esque. So that's nice to see. But like I said, I just need to see a bit more from him. But again, first season, young goalkeeper. Let's see what we've got. And it's all obviously way better than the 2 idiots that are there. Anana being on loan at the moment and Bayender. But he's definitely better than those 2. Definitely refreshing in terms of the fact that he can catch a ball, which sounds stupid, and I've said it loads of times before, but being able to catch the ball, being able to calm the defence down and make them feel confident in him is a big thing. Okay, it doesn't always feel like it's helping that much because we're still conceding, but it's still much better than having those 2 idiots in goals. So, and again, in terms of our play, I said we were poor in that first half, which I think we can all agree. And I think we were pretty poor in the second half. We were probably a little bit better than the first half because there was a bit more urgency, knowing that we've conceded a goal. I think we wanted to get that goal back, so you can't say we didn't. But at the same time, I don't think there was enough of an attack, enough of a sustained possession to really do very much. And you could actually hear section of the crowd saying attack, 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 and you know when that's happening that they're just thinking what is going on here. We should be attacking a team like Wolves, and I think this is where there's been for me too late, but around the 65th minute I'd say Amarim's done a bit of a tweak in terms of formation, and he's put him as a more of a flat back four, shoved Dorgu a bit higher up, and I think Fletcher went higher up on the other side. Didn't really make too much of a difference because I don't think we carved them open or created that many chances. One thing that's interesting though is, and you always hope it would be Sesko in that position, but Dallo keeps getting into decent positions where he's making quite a decent sort of darted run into the box, and the ball's getting chipped over. So I think Casemiro chipped it over for him once or twice, and he was just getting in that position. Towards the end there, as we get the ball in the back of the net for 2-1, you're thinking, oh, we've done it, we've scraped it, we've got away with this one. And you're feeling all desperate, thinking, please let it be a goal. And then Dorgu's offside. And you just think, that's so poor that he's not watching his line there. And then even myself watching the TV thinking, there's a player on the floor, hopefully a part of his body that can be active. Might have played Dorgu on side, but it was just hope rather than anything else. So very poor overall. But we're just going to have a quick look at FootMob now. Just to have a look at how the game sort of played out overall. So as you can see there, and again, I always talk about stats and how important stats are. And it's just how you interpret things, I suppose. But 57% possession. So again, I would be shocked to read anything different than more possession than Wolves. Not much more, obviously. I would want to see into your 70s there if you really want to win this game. But 57% possession. Expected goals, as you can see there, where Wolves is highlighted there on the right-hand side. They're 1.02 and we're 0.81 for expected goals. So that tells you a story straight away. Total shots, 15 to their 11. 6 shots on target to their 4. 2 big chances by us to their 1. And then we've missed 2 big chances and they missed 1. See if there's anything else that's worth looking at. And that's pretty much it, really, in terms of anything that's worth looking at there. I'll come on to, let's have a look actually. Should we talk about, whilst we're there, we'll quickly talk about league standings, just to rub it in, the salt in the wounds a little bit more. Please put your comments in the chat, by the way. Shout out. Oh, got a message here from Josh. Shout out, long time supporter, Catherine Laney. Okay, interesting one. So let's look at the table then. So as always, Arsenal at top of the table. They've convincingly beat Aston Villa tonight. I wasn't expecting that. Sort of puts paid to that sort of Villa and the title charge. City in second there, Villa in third still. Liverpool in fourth. I think they're still to play tomorrow. Chelsea dropped a couple of points there, and they've ended up drawing tonight. And then we're there in sixth still. So again, we had an opportunity to leapfrog Chelsea, which would have given us 32 points and put us level with Liverpool. But we failed to capitalise there. And as you can see, right at the bottom there, who have we got? Wolves. Okay. And there we have it. So, yeah, in terms of what I'll go on to now is just about, this is always difficult when you're trying to pick a man of the match and who's performed well and what have you. But anyway, we'll get into it. So for me, And again, please put your comments in. You've got a few people here watching live, so please put your comments in. Who do you think, and who's your man of the match? Who do you think's a strong performer, and who do you feel's played terrible today? Who's your underperformers for tonight? So I've got a couple. So let's get on to the man of the match first. So the man of the match has got to be for me, Sene Lamons. Now, I think, like I say, I've been a bit of a critic only because I want more from him, and I think that I'm still waiting for him to do a convincing save where, you know, those sort of goal bound shots and he just claws it around the post or puts it over the bar. I just feel like a lot of the times where we've conceded a goal, it always feels like he could have done better, and I want to stop seeing that. And a lot of that's for me, I don't think it's ability, because I think he's got the ability, he's got the reflexes, and I keep saying he's definitely better than Bayender and Onana. I think it's just positioning, and I think that's what the issue is in a lot of occurrences. It's positioning, and it's giving him a disadvantage where he's starting in the wrong position. And I don't think there's a reason why you can't save certain shots that are coming in. So I think it's down to that. And that's, again, why I'm saying that we need to improve in our coaching system for me, because I think he's getting let down by the goalkeeper coach, if I'm honest with you. But that's just my thought. Don't know any more than that. So Lamont, for me, man of the match, because, like I say, kept us in the game. So when it was 1-1, and they could have made it 2-1 Wolves, and that would have been really embarrassing. So if you think this is bad, it could have been horrendous, this video. He did well, like I say, with his feet, which gave me that sort of De Gea vibes. And then in that second half where he's made the save, which is a good save for me. Okay, if you wanted to be critical, you could say he could have palmed it away, but I don't think he could have done. I think he's made a reaction save. It's bounced in front of him, so it's been favourable for him to then make a second attempt, and he's managed to claw it away. I think he's had to do it a couple of times where he's clawed it away from the player rushing in. And if he didn't do that, and he didn't have the speed of thought then, and speed of mind, I think that player's going to just tap that in for an easy goal. So got to hand it to him on this game. I think as much as a point is embarrassing, a point is better than no points. So I think he's done well there and deserves the man of the match for me. Don't know what the official man of the match was, but for me, it's Lamons. I'm just going to go on to underperformers because I'm struggling for a second reeler. I mean, I thought Casemiro did all right, for example. I've heard a few shouts for Shaw, and he could have been a man of the match, but I'm going to go on to underperformers now. So for me, and I don't know what you guys think, but Cunha was massively disappointing tonight. I think he did a lot of what you want him to do is get on the ball and drive, but he just, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd have to watch it back and see if he was hard done by the referee, but I just feel like, sorry, I'm just checking the chats there. I just feel like he was just running into traffic and doing nothing. So it wasn't really helping us. Now, if you beat a man and then pass it off, or you go on a real driving run and get into the box, I think for me, when he's doing his drives, I want him to drive and get near the box. So even if you get a foul and get us a free kick and we get set pieces from it, I don't mind that. But you're just driving into traffic and going nowhere. And there's times where he's been crowded out and he's still giving it a go. And I appreciate that he was trying to almost like sort of take the mantle because there's no Bruno tonight, but you've still got to use your team. And you're not playing for Wolves anymore, where you were the star man and the rest of your teammates are shit. Well, I realise what I'm saying there, because when you look at the team, it's like we're shit as well. But you have got decent players around you that you can utilise, that you can bounce off. And I think that's what I want to see from you. And there's almost like a desperation, especially when we've gone 1-1. There's a desperation for him to pull something out of the bag. And I think you try too hard and you end up in the result that you get. So he's got to be there as one of the underperformers for me. And then there's question marks around Sesko. And I'll always say that Amorim is to blame for stunting his growth in a sense, because if you remember, it's a lot of games ago now, and it was before he got injured. It wasn't much of a scoring run, so it's not like a Haaland thing. But he had 2 goals, and he was going to go into the third game, and it could have been 3 goals in a row sort of thing, and he dropped him, if you want to call it that. He'll call it a tactical thing, but he didn't play him in the next game, and then that disrupted his form for me. And he hasn't recovered since then, Dan. Don't get me wrong. I know he got injured after that, but it disrupted his form for me. And there is a combination of reasons why he's not up to speed. So again, chance creation, which I'm not just going to blame that, because I think, again, I don't know if you guys do it the same, but when you take a moment to sort of see what goes on with other teams, and I listen to other channels on YouTube, I listen to other fans, and there's a lot of fans saying the same thing with Gyökeres, but then they've got to the conclusion now that he's now getting enough chances, he's just not putting them away. So whose fault is it? So before, you didn't feel like he had chances, but then when he gets the chances, he isn't putting them away. So then that's why there's a combination of reasons for it. So again, Sesko very poor today. Yeah, just looking at the chat there. So I think you're talking about Cunha, although Sesko was on the floor a lot as well. But I think you're talking about Cunha there, where he's saying, this is SJ saying about spent a lot of time rolling around on the floor. It was a joke. Yeah, and I agree. There was a lot of sort of, we talk about Bruno waving his arms about, but there was a lot of that where he's just looking straight at the ref, and I think he probably pissed the ref off early doors, and the ref just thought, you know what, fuck you. If you get a foul, I ain't calling it, because you're just pissing about, rolling around on the floor. And I'm not saying it's right, but you do get this where refs admit to being human and reacting to things in the match, and I think that's what's happened. I think he's possibly even pissed that ref off before this game, maybe in past games and that he's played in. But anyway, he was on the floor a lot. Doesn't really help us being on the floor. You've got to get up and fight and play properly. And I just think, just being on the floor, what does that do? And you're not getting the free kick. And then this is what pisses me off about professional football players at times. They'll roll around the floor, start holding the leg, whatever. The ref is saying, play on, we're playing on. And he's still on the floor. Just get the fuck up, because you're not helping your team being on the floor, are you? But anyway. Again, I digress. So, like I say, please put it in the comments who you feel is your man of the match, who you feel was underperformed today, and just general comments about how you feel that the game went, and we could discuss it before we go, because I know obviously it's getting late, and it's a school night. It's getting late, so just like I say, we will be wrapping up shortly. But if you've got any comments, let's get them in there. Let's get them discussed. And then we can also discuss more in the next video as well. So, in regards to results and what it means for Manchester United, then, as you could see there before, I had the league table up. Let's go on again. As I was saying, 6. And we had the chance, like I say, to go sort of joint 4th. So going forward, we haven't particularly cemented that sort of top 5, top 6. Now, I say top 5 because I think there's that sort of maybe arrogance from us in this country that we're going to do really well in Europe and we're going to get the 5 spots and what have you. So aiming for 5th isn't great. I really think we should be aiming higher, but it's not going to happen this season. But we should really be trying to drop into that top 4, really. So top 5, top 6 isn't great, but at least we're, I suppose, there or thereabouts. It's all about how we're going to fare in the next games, and we've got Leeds next, I believe, and then I think it's Burnley after that. Now, obviously, Leeds are in good form. Especially at home. I believe we're playing against them at their place. So just go on to this comment before we move on. Yeah, so again from SJ, can't understand why Xerxes was taken off. Doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, so again, as I was saying earlier though about that, it's I'm not saying that it was going to make a difference Xerxes staying on the pitch, but he scores the goal, so therefore he really is our only goal threat throughout this match, really, because I can't think of an opportunity that we got where you could say that we almost scored from it. There's been a few chances that Sesko got, but again, I think it must be two or three tame headers at the keeper where the keeper's, apart from the one where he hit the post, the keeper's just caught his header. So we're no way we're going to score from them. So Xerxes is the only one that's fashioned a chance that's actually gone in. Again, wicked deflection, and it probably wasn't going to go in unless it came off a Wolves player. And only because it was goal bound, where it'll probably be classed as Xerxes' goal. But to be honest, that was pretty much an own goal, which Wolves are pretty good at the minute. So yeah, I think, like I say, it's a bit of a strange one. I'll have to watch out for the post-match comments from Amarim to see why he came off, because I'm sure he'll be asked that question whether it was tactical or whether he got injured. He was sat there in the stands, so if it was injury, it wasn't that bad. I wouldn't have thought, because normally he would have gone down the tunnel, or I mean, it was half time, so he wouldn't have come back out maybe. But he was back out and he was in the stands, so it's a tough one to know what's gone on there. And didn't look overly angry, so I don't know whether it's either a tactical thing where he's explained to him exactly why he's taken him off, which again I can't see Zexer being happy about that, or whether it's an injury. I mean, if you want to be cynical, you could probably say that he didn't want him to get injured because he might be going next week, for example, because the window opens this week, I would have thought, January. So, and he's being linked to Roma. So whether it's getting stronger that he might be going, he's thinking, actually, let's not push it because he's going out on loan. I don't know. So it could be that as well. So going back to what it means for us then. So yeah, like I say, we're in 6 in the table. Not particularly cementing ourselves up at that top end, but we're staying there or thereabouts. I think this result definitely does count, but I think you can sort of recover things if you can have a better result against Leeds, and Burnley. So we definitely need to get results there. So if we could get 6 points from those 2 games, then our league position might look a little bit different. And also, Chelsea are giving us a bit of a chance, aren't they? So we've got another comment there about the Burnley match being similar to Grimsby. Well, obviously, Grimsby are a lot lower in the leagues, but there's every chance that it could be an embarrassing one, because I don't think Burnley are particularly great, and they're down there in the league position. So it could be another embarrassing one, because today was embarrassing. I don't know how you guys feel, but today was embarrassing. And like I say, Burnley are only one position higher than Wolves, so that will be interesting. Whereas Leeds, they'll be. Let's have a quick look at the table here. Leeds are 16th, so this was our moment really to do something and actually fly up the table a little bit, because we should have beaten Wolves today. There should be no reason why we couldn't beat Leeds, and we should be beating Burnley. So we just do things the hard way, where we beat Newcastle, but then we draw against Wolves. I mean, if we'd have drawn against Newcastle, you understand that, and then beat Wolves, but it's the other way around. So again, make that make sense, because I can't make sense of it. So, like I say, overall, poor performance, especially that first half. Second half was slightly better when changed formation a little bit. Just don't think we had the players to change anything. When you looked at that bench, it was all really youth players, really. When I saw Yoro taking his tracksuit off and looking to come on, I'm thinking again, it's a negative substitution for me. Why is Yoro coming on? And then Mantato, I'm not even sure what position he's meant to play. I think he's meant to be some sort of marauding right back of some type, so he can sort of play right back and play a little bit further forward. But the only thing he offered was that cross where he fell over and it sort of went out. So it was an opportunity though. You got in behind the Wolves' defence. You just want a cut back. Very, to be fair, I just wanted something similar to what Frimpong did the other day when he cut it back to Gravenberch and Liverpool scored. It's that sort of thing. He was in that similar sort of position in a sense. And it was just a horrible. I know he fell, but it was just a horrible cross. And it just summed up our performance, if I'm honest. So very poor surroundings and environment for youth players to come through to as well. So I can't not say that, by the way. So I am a bit frustrated, as people should be, watching this shit, but and hence why I've sort of said a bit about the youth players coming on and looking shit. But again, very difficult when you're trying to join a team of shit. You either thrive or you just join in, and unfortunately, people are just joining in at the moment. So, like I say, very poor overall. Should have won the game in regards to before the game and on paper, but during the game, no, we didn't deserve to win this game today. As much as we could have won it, we didn't deserve to win this game today. And like I said in the last, I've seen you say this comment before, SJ, just in regards to that roller coaster of emotions. There's so many. There's not enough highs, unfortunately. There's sometimes some highs, but there's a lot of lows, and it's just demoralising. So I'm gonna wrap things up there. Just gonna check if there's any more comments or if anybody else wants to say anything or contribute. But I think gonna wrap things up there. But for those that are watching, and if you haven't subscribed, why not? But you've always got opportunity to do so. It's free. Just hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. Just helps the channel out. Also, if you hit that bell notification so that you can see when we're going live or new videos are coming out. It's all about building the community, and all I've ever wanted is people to join in with what's being said. It's not all just about what I say. All comments are welcome and viewpoints are welcome. And we just want to start a new community because, again, I watch other channels myself, but sometimes you don't really get your voice heard when you go to these bigger channels, and we're just trying to grow a community together. So really important to subscribe. Please like as well, and please share. Please tell a friend so a friend can tell a friend. It's all about watching Dan Talks United, and thank you for watching Dan Talks United. So like I say, please like, please share, please subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.